Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim CEO show. Our vision is Muslims leading the way in solving the world's biggest problems. So this is the place for you if you want to become an amazing leader and grow your business or organization to the next level. We do this by learning from those that have been there, done it, and bought the show Optimise. I'm your brother and host Mohammad Arshad, and today I'm really excited to have with me the fantastic Farzan Parupia. Assalamu alaikum, bro.
Alaikum salam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. So, Farzan, I'm really excited to have you on the show. Obviously, we know each other really well, but I'm really excited to have you on the show because I think you have some really unique experiences when it comes to helping experts, when it comes to helping educators and course creators, right? So, for those of you that may not know Farzan, let me give you a quick introduction, okay? So, Farzan is the co-founder of Salam Media. Their mission is to help 1 million Muslim educators earn a living doing what they love while serving the world. Farzan's been involved in Muslim marketing space for nearly a decade and has helped generate multiple seven figures in sales across various Muslim niches. He helped Bayyinah Institute scale from 6 figures to 8 figures in only 2 years, and he also worked with Entrepreneurial Muslim for almost 3 years, helping them grow. He also worked with many Muslim educators, institutes and organizations such as OnePath Network, Naima B Robert, and Islam21c. So I'm sure there's much more we can say, but I want to get into it for the rest of the show, inshallah. So let's begin with the question I ask everyone, Farzan. What was 10-year-old Farzan like?
It's a very direct question. So by 10-year-old, do you mean when I was 10 years old or
Yeah.
10 years ago?
No, when you were 10 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. Um, wow, that's a very interesting question. I mean, I guess just like any other kid, I didn't really know much about life.
hmm
Just going through school, just doing the day-to-day routine.
Do you remember what you
And
wanted to be?
My dad is a doctor.
hmm
He's a neonatologist, and I honestly didn't want to go into that field primarily because I saw that he was so busy all the
Mm.
time, and I was like, I don't want that kind of a lifestyle. And so I've always had this, I guess, keen thing about entrepreneurship and business, and just not having to work for somebody else, not having to answer to a boss, having a flexible schedule, being able to spend as much time as I want with family, not being in the rat race. I think that's something that I always had in my mind,
hmm
something that, I wanted to avoid, and go into sort of entrepreneurship and business.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, like, you're 10 years old. You're just like an average kind of kid. You're kind of born and raised where?
Yeah, so I was born in Dallas, Texas. So it's one of the greatest places on earth, I would say. And yeah, so I was born here. I grew up here. Hamza, have lived my the vast majority of my life here.
Okay, so you're kind of there, and today obviously you're in a very kind of a different life to being a doctor, for example, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, like, did you study marketing or business at uni? Like, what was your journey to get from there to where you are today?
Yeah, it's a very interesting journey. So initially, when I, started university, again, I was always in the business field,
hmm
but I actually started in management, and then I went to, no, actually, I started in accounting. Okay, so accounting,
That's terrible. I'm so
yeah,
glad you
it
didn't stay
was,
there.
yeah. So I enjoyed math, I enjoyed numbers, I enjoyed those types of things, and even accounting classes, it was fine. So I did a marketing part-time sort of winter job at one point while I was in university, and it was one of the worst, like some of the worst few weeks of my life,
Mm,
because I was sitting in front of a computer just dealing with numbers, no human interaction.
mm,
And I was like, I can't do this. So I was like, I need to go towards something in the business field that's more people oriented. So
mhm.
then I shifted to management. And then from management, I shifted then again to marketing because I found out about marketing, which is you trick people into buying stuff. And I was like, that sounds pretty cool, so let's try that. And Hamza, it was something that right off the bat I had so interested in. It was very interesting to me. A lot of psychology that goes on in marketing, obviously. So yeah, I graduated with a BBA or bachelor's in marketing.
Okay, so how did it go from, because obviously a lot of people, especially at that age, they're kind of coming out of university and they're thinking like, what do I do? Do I try to get a job? Do I try to get a placement or internship or something? What was your kind of mindset when you came out of uni?
Yeah. So initially, I never, to be honest, thought about doing my own business.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, while I was in university, I had actually taken a year off of university
Mm.
to study Arabic at Bayyinah.
Okay.
Uh, and then in my last year of university, my third year of university, I did. Then I took a year off. Then I went back for my fourth year, which was my last year. So in that last year, I actually needed an internship, a marketing internship to complete my degree.
Mm.
I actually ended up doing that with Bayyinah.
Wow.
Then, alhamdulillah, that internship turned into a part-time job, which then turned into a full-time job. So I was always looking for a job, and at that time it was interesting because I was very young. I was like 19 or 20. I was getting married as well, and one of the conditions for my wife and I had done the nikah, but one of the conditions for us to do the what we call ruksati, or living together, excuse me, was that I had to, number one, complete my degree, and number two, get a full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
obviously to have the income side to
Yeah.
support her. So alhamdulillah, that happened. And I didn't think about business until maybe a year or two down the road after I already had a job.
Hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is interesting, right? Because first of all, that's good motivation to actually get a job, right? Like you're not getting married fully until you get a job. What I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you is Bayyinah, right? This is actually a very, very interesting. Anyone who's like operating in the Muslim space, I think Bayyinah is a very, very good example of people who I saw very early on getting their marketing right, right? So when I remember when I was watching their journey from outside, I was kind of seeing like what the non-Muslims were doing with their marketing, the way they were basically getting subscribers, the way they were getting that monthly revenue, and all that kind of stuff. And I hadn't seen it applied anywhere in the Muslim world. And Bayyinah was one of those things that kind of came along where it's like they started charging a small amount for their subscription. Obviously, Noman Khan is very well known, and they started charging for it, and then you started to realize that their subscribers are in the tens of thousands. And everyone's doing the maths in their head, right? They're like $10, 20,000 subscribers. These guys like they're doing this much revenue a month. It's like kind of
Yeah.
crazy, right? So just talk me through the journey a little bit of what was it like on the inside of doing that, and how did they actually break through that mold of being an old school charity like we have in the UK, where the charities that never do anything online and actually conquering online marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. So when I joined Bayyinah, I was part-time working for Bayyinah TV, and then I became the operations manager of Bayyinah TV. And at that time, I was very young. What we did is in Dallas, we had a Bayyinah TV launch event. So it was like a one-day conference, but as part of it, as we would have a special presentation that Ustad Naman was delivering, it was almost like the typical Apple new iPhone or new product reveal that Steve Jobs, for example, used to do. And so he, did the whole spiel, and then we had a deal that you can sign up for Bayyinah TV, which is $11 a month. But if you buy a T-shirt, because we would sell T-shirts at these events, if you buy a T-shirt, oh no, sorry, it was if you buy a subscription, then you get a free T-shirt, and we were selling T-shirts for $15, and everybody wanted a T-shirt. So it was a no-brainer because you're actually saving money by getting a subscription. So that first day or that first week, I believe we had around 700 signups, mashallah.
Wow. Okay.
I think the audience in total was like 1,000 or 1,500 people. So the conversion rate was
Crazy.
just insane.
Mm.
But what was interesting was that at that point, first of all, you have to understand that the journey up to that point, it's like people often think, okay, well, it's an overnight success. Oh my God,
Yeah.
we got that many signups, but it was literally years in the making. I mean, think about how, first of all, you're even able to fill a hall with over 1,000 people at an event. I mean, not anybody can do that. I actually have an entire 10-part masterclass that I've recorded on this, and how Bayyinah went from, being a new organization to, over the course of a few years, for example, through Ustad Daman was doing a lot of traveling courses, right? He's doing a lot of on-site, in-person programs, building the audience, building familiarity with literally hundreds of communities, not only in the US, but around the world. And that's what grew their email list to tens of thousands, if not, hundreds of thousands. And so once you build that infrastructure over a few years, then it makes it easier to launch something like Bayyinah TV. But what was interesting is that even at that point, maybe we had a couple of thousand subscribers in the first few months, but it still wasn't getting to the next level, right? So my mentor, who I met at Bayyinah, this was right around when funnels were becoming more of a prominent concept with Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels and everything like that. And so we were like, okay, he taught me about the concept of a funnel, how we utilize that. How do we utilize that to then take people to sign up for Bayyinah TV? So we put together a 5 free Arabic lessons funnel, and we had Facebook ads running to that. We wanted to test it out initially, with a cold audience, because if it could convert well with a cold audience, then imagine if we put it in front of our warm audience, which was hundreds of thousands of people, then, that would be good. So alhamdulillah, we had a funnel that was converting, and that's why we talk a lot about funnels, and that's one of the main things that we help educators, experts, and institutes implement and execute for their own business, for their company. So anyway, it was really that funnel that then accelerated the growth. And then over the next couple of years, alhamdulillah, we ran what was called, I think, the Barakah campaign. And there was another campaign as well that just literally was two multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns, which is what really got Bayyinah TV from, let's say, a couple of or a few thousand subscribers, then to literally tens of thousands of subscribers, and within a couple of years.
Amazing, mashallah. What's it like? I mean, some people are probably watching this and kind of on their journeys as well, and thinking about even what you said early, like early on they had a few thousand subscribers. Even that sounds like a huge thing, right? Like what are like the big lessons you learned about going from what was kind of small for them to that really big kind of place? Like what were the things that kind of broke? What were the things that you had to do? How did you kind of get to that level? Or was it quite easy to scale because you had kind of worked it out?
No, I mean, there were definitely a lot of bumps on the road, as they say. Like I said, the first thing really I would say is just the funnel, right? And having sort of a systematic, automated approach to taking someone who might be a stranger to the brand altogether to then becoming a customer. But then on top of that, I would say that experimentation and testing was a huge part of it. And I think that's a crucial thing for any business, any entrepreneur, any company, that you have to constantly be able to fail and to try things not knowing if they're going to work or not. Obviously, you do your due diligence in trying to attempt things that perhaps have a good track record of succeeding. But obviously, every organization, every person is different, and it may not work for you, and you have to kind of, make some tweaks, optimize the process, or perhaps just try something else altogether. And alhamdulillah, you don't see that. You don't see all of the 99 attempts that failed. You only see the one attempt that succeeded when you're looking from the outside at another organization or company. So there was a lot of that, right? A lot of email testing, a lot of ads testing, a lot of, just how the offer was presented. I mean, there's so many different aspects in marketing, obviously, that need to be tested. So all of that was tested, and it literally took several months, if not more, to arrive at a sort of a funnel or the system that was then converting consistently. And we knew, however, if we sent out an email or if we put up some ads or whatever, we knew that we would get a certain return, on that investment of time or effort or money.
Amazing. So, when you kind of achieve this, and you're like you're saying, funnels is a big thing. It's one of those systems that you can put in place to really grow your revenue, grow your customers, all these kind of things. What was the next step for you? Because you kind of saw that what was possible, I guess, with the Muslim market. Because a lot of the time we're questioning, right? We're like, we know the non-Muslims are doing this in their marketing, but would that actually work with Muslims? So now you kind of started to see that. What kind of happened from there then?
Yeah, so within my own sort of context, I actually got in. This is the first time I sort of got into entrepreneurship and business myself. I did an Amazon business for a little while. Then people started asking me about how to do the same for themselves, how to start and build an Amazon business. And I was specifically doing Amazon FBA private labeling, because even within Amazon, there's multiple, sub-niches. So that's what I was doing. So I put together an online course. And this was the first time I, for myself, implemented and tried out the concept of a funnel. I put together a free 4-part video series, and all of my traffic, whether it was affiliate traffic or organic traffic or cold traffic, was all going to the same source, which was a landing page that says, hey, this is, I have a free 4-part video series. This is what it's going to teach you. This is who it's for. Enter your email address to get instant access. And then, of course, they get access over the course of the next few days to each of the next 4 videos. The 4th video essentially is almost like a sales video, which is then promoting the course. And alhamdulillah, I was selling that course for $497. and I had, I made probably around 40K or something like that uh, over the course of a couple of launches. So that was the first time I had implemented it for myself. My target market was definitely Muslims specifically with that course. And I was shocked and obviously pleasantly surprised that this concept does work if implemented properly. And it can really be done over, for any niche, for any market, for anyone. The reason for that, in my opinion, is because it's not just about the concept of a funnel or the system, but it's really the principles and the psychology behind that and what makes it succeed. Because it's not like one specific funnel is what's going to work. There are different types of funnels and different systems. But if the principle that's being followed or implemented is that of a normal or a real human relationship, I think that's what's crucial. Because quite often when marketing online, people forget that they're dealing with human beings, not robots and not dollar signs or pound signs, right? So just like in a real human relationship, you don't know someone and you could go from not knowing them to becoming your best friend. How does that process happen, right? There are multiple steps along the way that enable that relationship to be nurtured and to be built until perhaps the person becomes your best friend. Similarly, in marketing, a lot of people just say, "Hey, I have this offer, just buy it." But the person's like, "I don't know who you are. I don't know you. I don't even like you. I don't trust you yet." So how can you then expect that person to buy something, to pay you money, if they don't have that relationship with you, right? So there has to be the system, and that's really what a funnel does. A funnel is giving great value at the beginning, building that relationship, giving, and then once the person realizes, oh wow, this person's credible, I can trust them, they've given me great value, I want to now get more, to learn more from them, then of course they are now ready to buy something that will help them achieve whatever goals they have. So that's essentially what a funnel does.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. I like the way you said that because, in a way, like if you go back to what you were saying earlier about being an accountant, you were just sitting in a room, just typing in numbers, right? Not speaking to people. And sometimes when you're doing Facebook ads, it can get like that, right? Or you're doing Amazon or something where you're just sitting in front of your screen, just doing it, and you can forget that human to human connection, which marketing is all about. So I think it's a really, really great example. One thing I wanted to ask you though is because, especially because you deal with course creators and educators and all these kind of people, right? Like, tell me a little bit about the mindset of going from, just like never doing a course before to deciding that, you know what, I want to do a course, and then to actually like see it through to making it. Like, what was that like for the first time, and what do you think were the things that drove you to actually do it rather than just think about it like so many people do?
Mm. Yeah. So initially when I was doing my Amazon business, I had no intention or even no thought about potentially teaching other people how to do this or about doing a course. That idea kind of naturally came about because so many people were approaching me. Literally, I was getting tons of Facebook messages. I was getting text messages and phone calls and emails about, hey, can you help me do this? Can you show me how to do this? And the vast majority of questions were about, hey, how do I get started? Or, hey, I started, but now I need to, can you help me choose my product? Can you help me show me how to do marketing or whatever the case is? So what was happening is that I would answer one question on a Facebook message and I would get the same question via email. I would answer one question on a phone call and I would get the same question on a Facebook message. So I was like, it got to a point where I was spending so much time and effort trying to help people, but then it was like regurgitation. Like I would be answering the same question again and again. I was like, let me record something, right? That I can just give a person access to, so that they can then have the question answered, and I can now then help 70 people or 100 people at once instead of having to help each one individually, which just is not a waste, but it's not the most efficient use of time. And so that's really where the idea came about. Now, of course, just because that is a single idea, that doesn't mean you're going to go full-fledged and not put together an entire course or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I guess what led me to that was just that I saw that there was an opportunity to help people and to serve people on a larger scale. And I guess I would be a proponent of not necessarily giving things out for free, because I do feel, while that that might not sit well with some people, but the reality is that if I was to put together a free course on that topic, people definitely wouldn't have taken it as seriously. And in fact, one of my students just a few months ago messaged me And he was saying, "Hey, Farzan, you remember, I was one of your Amazon students, and I took your course." And mashallah, he just sold his business for $800,000.
Wow,
His
amazing.
Amazon business. Yeah. So, subhanallah, like, that person, he invested $500 or $497 up front. That's what pushed him and motivated him to now then, take the action, right? And so that was one of the motivations as well. Obviously, revenue is a part of it, right? If there's an avenue to make money while serving people, that's the best thing. And that's really one of my mottos, as I mentioned to you before the interview, that, serve more so that you can earn more. I believe that the more you serve, of course, with the right intention to please and to serve Allah, then inshallah you will earn more risk, you will earn more revenue, but then you'll earn more rewards as well. And so that's really, I think that any person who has some sort of knowledge, experience, expertise should seriously consider packaging it and selling it in the form of an online course or digital product or service online, especially today with COVID. You can't really do the in-person aspect or element that much. You really have to figure out how to package and sell your stuff online. So you can put together a nice offering and then benefit people and also benefit yourself at the same time, inshallah.
Yeah, so this is I like the motto you said, right? Like serve more so you can earn more, right? So tell me a little bit about this because sometimes, especially in the Muslim world, we have a very weird relationship with money, right? Like we have this
Mm.
kind of paradoxical relationship with it, and so like, is it really possible to serve more people and earn more? And does that not dilute the serving in itself?
Mm. Yeah, so I would say that number one, when it comes to serving, it shouldn't be, in my opinion, isolated to only a paid offering. You should have certain services, quote unquote, certain content, certain value that you're putting into the space that's unconditional. That's just free on YouTube, on Facebook, on any sort of a platform that you're on. And of course, I would say that it has a lot to do with the intention behind why you are even putting together a paid program, right? It's very, yeah, so I mean, I would say it's just more about the intention. And I don't think it really dilutes the service as long as that intention, the primary intention is to serve and the secondary intention is to earn, and that's completely fine, right? Because the thing is that it's unfortunate that many people, with regards to earning revenue or making money, have a negative association with it because there are so many ayat and hadith, especially, that talk about how when a person goes out to earn to support themselves and their family, that's actually a form of ibadah, right?
Mm.
So if that intention is there, then inshallah, every minute that you're spending trying to promote your programs and services to benefit other people, but then also you're doing it for yourself so that you can have a better life, so that you can, have a better home, a better environment for your family. That's all good things that actually Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam have recommended and have encouraged.
So this is actually a good paradigm shift to have, really, isn't it? And it reminds me of one of the students that I was working with, and he had this very negative kind of connotation towards it as well. And we talked a lot about money, and it's kind of like you're saying that you've got this warped thing where kind of like deep down subconsciously we might think like money is a little bit evil type of thing. Money's like
Mm.
things to Jahannam, right? And all of that stuff. But like you mentioned there, it's actually praiseworthy for a man to go out and earn a halal risk for his family, and like you said, it becomes an act of worship. So that's kind of turning it upside down on its head, and I think it's very, very interesting when you then start to think like that, and you take that thinking forward into combining it with something like service, right? And start to think about, okay, like, of course I've got to earn my money, but at the same time, like, my ultimate purpose is actually to serve the creation, in terms of like benefiting them for the sake of Allah and helping them and doing all these kind of things. So I think it's a really, really good way of thinking about money. And I think one of the other things I would say is it's interesting. I was looking at this. I was watching this video today about zuhud, about like the way we should be with these things. And you see, like, the issue is not actually money, because the sheikh was talking about there's so many of the Sahaba that were extremely, extremely rich, right?
Yeah.
But he was saying that the issue is not money at all. Like, there's no issue with you being rich or getting lots of money. The issue is with the attachment to the money, right?
Mm.
Same with the dunya. As Muslims, there's no issue with us like completely being, very focused on achieving in the dunya and getting what we want in dunya. but it's about being attached to the dunya. That's where the danger is, you know. And so when it comes to money, when it comes to business, all this kind of stuff, you'll see that the Sahaba, they had money, they had loads of it, and they used it very, very well. They just weren't attached how I guess sometimes we are, in the sense that like their iman wouldn't go up and down with their currency and money. Right? With some of us, it's like that, right? Your money goes down, you're like, oh no, like this. The money goes up, it's fine. So I think it's a very, very interesting way of kind of looking at things and really thinking about money like that. So
yeah, and in addition to, sorry to interrupt, but
No, go.
in addition to just the attachment, and I think you just mentioned this briefly, is that what did they actually do with the money? You know, it wasn't necessarily, or in the vast majority of cases, it definitely wasn't to live a lavish lifestyle, right? Because there's only a certain limit. Like, you know, there's even a study that shows that once you know, a person reaches a certain threshold, I think the statistics of the modern research show about 70 or 75,000 is kind of that threshold. Once you surpass that, your level of satisfaction kind of plateaus, you know? And so that it really shows, I think. But yeah, it's more about like what you're doing with that money as well. So I think that, you know, quite often the mindset should be that when you can earn more, it's not just about yourself and your family, which is obviously a huge priority. But then when you're earning more, you're able to give more, you're able to donate and contribute more to causes that you want to support, right? You are then able to have, you know, more flexibility, for example, like, you know, because if you're earning more, that means hopefully you're able to be making or having more freedom with your time, with your freedom with your location. Perhaps you can now utilize that time to give da'wah, to be involved in volunteering or certain causes where your physical presence is required. Mashallah, like yourself, you can travel to different places in the world, you know, not only just for the purpose of appreciating and looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, but also, you know, reaching people and being a part of things in other countries, you know, where it's needed.
Yeah, sure. Great. So one of the things I wanted to touch upon, Roy, is that you know, you guys have done a lot of work with educators. You've done a lot of work with Muslim organizations, education organizations, and things like this. Like, what are the things you've learned from now, like widening that Bayyinah experience and working with so many people who are Muslim and helping them on the marketing side of things? Like, what's the kind of big advice that you've got for people that are content creators, educators, experts? Like, you know, maybe they're in that kind of stage where they're furloughed right now, or, you know, they're thinking, yeah, maybe I should do something because they're always seeing things pop up. Like, you know, what did you learn? What's the advice you've got for people who are in that kind of mode?
Yeah, number one, I would say is just get started. I think the lack of action, you know, inaction is a detriment to someone who's looking to make something, you know, of themselves or put themselves out there. And I still deal with this, and I dealt with this quite a bit, you know, when I was getting started. Is you know, there's this thing of like self-doubt. It's like, oh, who will want to learn from me? Like, you know, I'm not worthy. It's like this what's it called, imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Where you feel like, oh, I'm not worthy. So the thing is that I think I read once that to be an expert, you don't have, or to be considered an expert in front of the person you are teaching, you don't have to be like the number one expert in your field. You just have to be one chapter ahead of the guy you're teaching, right? So as long as you just know more, or you have some sort of knowledge or experience or expertise that the other person doesn't have. So that's the first condition, that you know something or you have something that the other person doesn't. And then the second is that you're able to now teach it effectively so that that person can, you know, implement or learn and you know, apply. That's all that's required. Those are the only two conditions needed, right? Sometimes we think, oh, there's all of these, you know, they say, oh, to be an expert, you have to have 10,000 hours of, you know, experience with this thing, and you have to know every book on the topic, and you have to. I mean, that's all. It's all good. There's a journey of learning and continual development for sure, and that shouldn't stop ever. But I think that a person, any person, literally any person watching this, if they were to look within themselves in their own life, they have some sort of experience. So if they have overcome some sort of a challenge, right? Let's just use a simple example like addiction. Like if someone was able to overcome an addiction or a toxic relationship or literally anything like that, any sort of negative, you know, challenge, obstacle that they were able to overcome, they achieved that through a unique way, number one, because their life is unique. And number two, yeah, so they were able to achieve that change in a unique way. So now they can teach that unique way that and save people time, because they had to do it the hard way over the course of, let's say, 5 years. Let's just say it took them 5 years or 10 years to achieve that transformation. What they're trying to do now is tell people, hey, don't make the same mistake as me. It took me 10 years to do this. I'm going to help you do it in 3 months, for example, you know? And so, yeah, I would say the first advice I would give is just get started. Don't let these self-doubts, lead to inaction. Just get started. As we mentioned earlier, experimentation, just put yourself out there and try it. And it seems scary and it seems fearful, but once you do it, you realize, oh, I mean, this is not a big deal. And you start putting out stuff, and inshallah, you start benefiting people, right? Because what do other people want to see? Other people need help. They need a service. They need, some sort of assistance from someone like you. And when you are not willing to, or for some reason are not able to do that and to put yourself out there, then it's not just affecting yourself and perhaps your own earning and serving and the rewards and the revenue that you can earn, but in fact, it's now, you're leaving people who you could be benefiting sort of hanging, so definitely go ahead and put yourself out there. Number two, I would say that when you are looking to put yourself out there, inshallah, once you are ready to take that action and you're taking that action, don't try to reinvent the wheel, right? Don't try to come up with some sort of a new method or sort of shoot in the dark, right? Or just throw things at the wall and see what sticks type of approach. Rather, success leaves clues and there's footprints. And so follow someone like a mentor or a coach or a teacher who has been there and done that, right? Such as Mohammad Arshad. And, find someone who can show you the ropes and show you what the proven way to success is. And the way I like to break it down, I think you may have heard me mention this before, but I'll say it just for those who may have not, is that when it comes to learning and implementation, I think that there is a 3-part proven, timeless approach to this that we in fact learn from the Quran and the Sunnah. And what I like to do is I like to refer back to the Sahaba, and I ask what made the Sahaba elite and what made the Sahaba people who in the times of Jahiliyyah were certain types of people. And then they literally transformed into the Sahaba as we know them, who literally spread Islam throughout this entire world. And they are part of the reason why we have Islam today for ourselves. And so there's 3 things that Allah and the Prophet ﷺ, or Allah specifically, gave them to implement and to literally transform and change. And the first is that He sent training, okay? Or content. Okay, so I'm going to do 3 C's, but let's just call it training or content. And that is the Quran, the book of Allah, right? You have to have some sort of a training manual, some sort of a map or a guide or guidance that is going to show you. But the thing is that you can't just hand someone a book or hand someone some sort of a manual and expect them to be able to understand everything the way it's supposed to be understood and to then implement it. And that's why the second after content is coach. You need someone to help you, show you how to apply that content practically, and then to also hold you accountable and to, be there along the way to support you in that journey. And so that the content, coach, and then number 3 is community. And we see the importance and the focus that Allah and His Messenger ﷺ put on community in that third aspect of it. You don't just want to have, a book and just a teacher and you're the only student, but rather you want other people who are like-minded, who have the same goal and they have the same vision as you, because it's so much easier to do things and to achieve change and transformation and achieve your goals when there's 30 or 50 or 1,000 other people doing it with you, right? That's one of the reasons it's so much easier to fast in Ramadan or to, stand in Taraweeh for so long, when outside of Ramadan, we can barely stand for 5 minutes in Isha and we're just like going through it quickly. But Taraweeh, we're literally standing for 30 minutes, an hour or more. It's because everybody else is doing the same thing. So it's this means of like emotional and moral support. And so I would say these 3 things, for anyone looking to get started, find these 3 things. Find a program or something, that gives you the content that you need, meaning the training. It gives you the coaching that you need, the coach or the mentor that you need. And number 3, it gives you the community that you need to have that support and people are doing it with you. And when you're not doing so well, when you're struggling, Other people are like, hey, let's, it's okay. We're here to support you. We're here to help you. So I would say that three-tiered approach is inshallah timeless. And I think for anyone who's starting out, or even if you've already started out but looking to grow, those three things will help you, inshallah, get to the next level.
Inshallah. Okay, wonderful. I like the structure that you've got. So what I want to ask you is, like, imagine, let's take a real life example. Yeah. So one of the things that I do is I do a lot of coaching. I do a lot of kind of confidence building and speaking and all this, right? So imagine I say to myself, yeah, you know what, I've been doing this for a long time with people. Maybe I should do a course. So then what do? Do I just go and make the course, like, based on what I've been doing with individuals? And, like, how do I actually sell the course? Like, how is it going to work for me to actually build the course and sell it? And how do I know if it's going to work even?
Yeah. So number one, just to kind of transition or go back to relate to what we were just talking about. Number one is that I would say that courses in and of themselves are a bit outdated. Maybe 5 years ago, you could get away with just putting together a recorded course and selling it and just like, hey, people will buy it. But now people are looking for more than that. Essentially, what courses were 5 years ago is what YouTube is now. I mean, you can find tons of stuff on YouTube and other sites for free. But what's really unique is not necessarily the training aspect, but is the other two aspects, which is the coaching and the community, right? So for whoever you are, if you're looking to put together a course, don't just put together a course. Make it a comprehensive program that provides a holistic transformation for your target customer, for your dream customer who you really want to serve. So make sure that there's a coaching element, make sure that there's a community element, inshallah, because like we said, that's the key to change. Now, when it comes to creating a course, the first thing I would say is to validate that. Well, actually, even before that, number one, you want to think about who is this course for, right? I would say you start with the who. Who are you serving? And then the next step is, what are you helping them achieve? What obstacle are you helping them overcome? And then you get to the how are you helping them achieve it, right? We have this sort of 4-part framework that we teach to our students. It's kind of a standard concept that, different coaches or marketers will teach in different ways. But the point is that step one is all about who are you serving? And it can't be general and vague. It has to be as specific, especially when you're first getting started, as specific as possible. Narrow down the criteria by age, by religion, by gender, by location, income, family. There's many different criteria you can use. And of course, think about perhaps people that are like yourself to a certain extent, right? And then number two, okay, what exactly are you helping them achieve? And that should be very specific as well. It shouldn't be, I'm going to help you make money. I'm going to help you lose weight. I'm going to help you learn how to cook, or I don't know, whatever it may be. It should be, it should be like, I'm going to help you make this much in this amount of time, or I'm going to help you achieve a certain tangible sort of a goal, right? And then the objection. The thing is that when you're helping a person or you're telling them that you can help them achieve something, and even if they believe you, in their mind, they have certain beliefs and objections that immediately come up. So if you're going to tell me, hey, I'm going to help you lose 10 pounds in 30 days, I'm like, okay, that's great. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, but I've tried this before and it's not going to work. Or I don't have the time to do it. Or I don't, whatever, or I don't want to leave my favorite foods, right? I don't want to have to go to the gym 30 minutes or an hour a day to do this. So these are the objections that are in my mind, and you have to know the objections of your audience to then be able to overcome them and address them. And then the fourth is, now, once you have those three things, the fourth step is, what is your unique method or process of helping the person achieve that goal and overcome that obstacle or objection, right? And that's when you go about now creating the method or the process step by step. And really, it's just a matter of looking at, hey, what's their current state and what is the future desired transformation or state that they want to be. And then it's just a matter of connecting the dots and having step by step, right? So it's like, obviously, you're going to be thinking about, from your own experience, from your own knowledge, how did you go about doing this? And then, putting the steps in sort of the process, right? And that's essentially, again, think about it in real terms as much as possible. And each of those steps, so let's just say that, there's like 10 steps or 8 steps from the current state to the future state. Those 8 steps are now your 8 modules for your course or your program. And then all you have to do is now go into the sub-steps, and those become the lessons within each of those modules. So now once you have this sort of an idea, and you have this framework and this method, the next step is to also make sure that you're validating this idea. You have to go online and do market research and competitive analysis. Go to Google and Facebook and YouTube and search the keywords that are related to exactly who you're serving and what you're helping, all the stuff we just laid out. Because when you're specific, then you can find those that are also specifically targeting who you want to target as well. Now, what this enables you to do is, number one, when you find someone or others doing what you want to do, it's a form of validation. In fact, if you have an idea that you search specific keywords on Google or YouTube or other social media platforms and you don't find anybody doing it, you probably shouldn't do it. Because the chances that you came up with an idea that no one else has ever come up with is extremely, extremely rare. So it's a good thing that because sometimes people get scared, like, oh, there's other people doing it, there's so many other players in the space. No, that's actually a good thing, because it shows you that something is working, right? So it's validation. Number two is it enables you to see how they've packaged and priced their offerings as well. Because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, I don't know what price to give it. I don't know how to structure it. Should it be, what kind of a program, or, should it be like a course, or should it be just coaching, or whatever the case is, right? And then thirdly, it enables you to see how they're marketing their product or program. Okay. So all of these are the 3 benefits that doing the market research competitive analysis provides you. It gives you a much clearer idea of how to go about putting together and then marketing your own course as well. And then a part of validation can also be asking your network and your audience if someone would be willing to buy your program. If so you can literally go to Facebook and on your profile or on your LinkedIn or wherever, send out a message or put up a post that says, hey guys, I'm thinking about putting together this type of an offering. Would anybody be interested in something like this? I'm thinking about doing this for the first time. A lot of you ask me about this on the side. A lot of my friends, family say, hey, can you help me with this? Can you show me how to do this? So that, by the way, for people who are thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm not an expert in anything. Think about things that to you, they literally come like it's nothing, but to others, they would be willing to literally pay you a little bit of money to show you show them how to do it. Anyway, that was a side point, but the point is that, if you can validate it in this way, then it gives you more confidence that, okay, this is something that people will be willing to buy, in addition to the market research that I mentioned as well. Then, of course, once the whole validation process is complete, what I personally recommend is doing a live beta launch. So don't, one of the mistakes that many people make is that they record an entire course from start to finish before they even sell it. And what we have to do is reverse it. You can sell your program or your service before you actually create it. And that's, that's a great way to do it. Number one, because, there's multiple benefits, but if you position it as a beta launch, a live beta launch, number one, people now understand that this is the first time you're doing it. Another benefit is that you can give people a discount, okay, and tell them that, hey, look, I'm going to be selling this course for $200, in the future once it's recorded. But right now for this first batch, I'm looking for 10 people as a beta group or a case study group, and I'll give it to you for $50 or pounds or 100, right? So it's like you're getting 50 or 75% off. So now they have this incentive to want to sign up. Another benefit is that when you're first starting out, you probably don't have any testimonials for your course, which is an essential component of selling, right? I mean, when you go to Amazon or any shopping site, literally the first thing everyone looks at is how many stars does it have? What are people saying about this, right? When you search on Google and you're looking for a place to eat, like literally you're looking at what are the reviews saying, and you actually take that as credibility for that business. So other people vouching for what you're doing or for your course is essential to people wanting to buy it. So because you can, it's one thing for a person to say, oh, I'm this and I'm that, because anybody can do that. But when another person is going out of their way to say that about you, then it's like, oh, wow, this is legit. So it enables you to get 5, 10, 15 testimonials from people. And you should make that a part of the marketing. Say that, hey, look, I'm looking for you guys as part of this case study group to give me these testimonials, inshallah, at the end of the course, and be honest about it. Don't be like those businesses that force you to give a 5-star review, but rather it's like, hey, give me an honest review. based on your experience. Another benefit, by the way, is that you can either deliver the course over the course of, let's say, 6 weeks, if it's a six module thing, or you could even do it all in one day, and you could just get it done in one shot. So it actually saves you a lot of time, and it forces you to have to do it, because when you're recording it yourself and you're not doing it live, then there's so much like, oh, did I say that right? Did I not do that? And you're re-recording. A 6-hour course is actually taking you 50 hours to record.
Yeah.
So do it live. And another huge benefit is that when you're delivering it live, you're actually able to get real-time feedback and refinement for your course. So you explain a concept one time, or you show them how to do something, and you say, hey, did that make sense? And if even a single person says, hey, no, that didn't make sense, you re-explain it with another example, with a different example or a different thing in a different way, and then ask again, did that make sense? And then in the recording, you don't have to include that first one. You can edit the first example out because there might be someone that it didn't make sense to, but the second one made sense. But you would have never known that if you didn't have that live audience to deliver this to and then ask them, hey, did that make sense? So now you're actually able to put out, once the recorded version is done, a better version of the product that's more refined, and that refinement wouldn't have been possible if you were pre-recording your course and then selling it. Another, of course, huge benefit of selling first is that you're able to now get an initial certain amount of revenue before. So, for example, let's just say that you're putting out your course and you say that, hey guys, I'm going to charge £50 for this instead of 200, and let's say nobody buys, right? Nobody buys. Okay, cool. Leave that idea. And you didn't waste any time on creating or delivering the course. Now go fix the offer, fix the price, fix the marketing. Something obviously went wrong that led to nobody buying. Figure out what that is and then try it again. If it doesn't work, try it again. And that's where the experimentation obviously comes in. So that is, and then inshallah, once it does work, you have some revenue that now you can put into ads, for example, right? So if you make, let's just say 500 or £1,000 with your first beta launch, in addition to all the other benefits I mentioned, now you actually have those £1,000 that hopefully you're not going to go spend on, meals or, buying your family a gift, or, obviously you should do that too. But the point is that you can invest into ads to now get cold traffic into, inshallah, the recorded version of the course, which you'll sell after the live version is done and recorded and refined. So anyway, I know I went on a long tangent, but I just wanted to give as much detail to explain to people that, hey, look, this is the better approach than what people maybe typically do. Because quite often people just think, oh yeah, let me record a course and then sell it. No, do it backwards and you'll, inshallah, attain all of these benefits.
Yeah, fantastic. I think this is, in that answer, you've actually probably saved hundreds of years of life if the people are watching, because I know what it's like to actually, naturally a lot of us that are into like courses and programs, we're creative people, so we enjoy the creative process, but we can literally go and spend months creating something and then realize that no one wants to buy it, So I think some really, really good advice there. One thing I wanted to ask you, so obviously we've been working together, alhamdulillah, like with Salam Media and stuff, right? Like someone's going to see you and they'll look at what you achieved with Bayyinah and the other Muslim organizations you worked with. You're someone who's got so much experience with the Muslim community. You're someone who has done 6, 7, 8 figures. But then at the same time, you kind of came to Muslim CEO and, we kind of started working together. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Like, what was your kind of current situation? Even though you had all this experience, why did you kind of engage in Muslim CEO and how did that all come about?
Yeah. So number one, learning never stops. That's so crucial that if you look at even the higher tier experts, teachers, coaches, educators in any industry, they are investing the most into their development, their personal development, their business development, and their education in general. And that is a huge lesson for all of us, that no matter what stage you get to, you should always be looking for new coaches and programs to invest in, because just one tip, and Mohammad Arshad is a great example of this, that we had, I think, one call or a couple of calls where we were talking about pricing, right? And it's like we were at one point charging like $500 or $1,000 or pounds for our services, and you were like, you need to like 3x or 5x that, Also, for example, we were working with a client that was just kind of a hassle. We were putting in so much time but not getting as much out. And I remember Mohammad Arshad on the call was like, message that client right now and tell them that you want to end this contract. And that literally, I mean, time is even more valuable than money. And I mean, probably the tens or hundreds of hours of time that saved me and that saved us as a company, that we were then able to focus elsewhere to make more and to find clients that are more suitable for what we're doing at the prices that we want. That is, it's worth way more than what we invested, just to be very honest, into whether it was your coaching or your program. And obviously that's one of the reasons that you do it. You're investing time and money into people and into programs because you expect a return on that investment. And any time, subhanAllah, that I have invested into my development, and this doesn't just apply obviously to business. I mean, this literally applies to any area of life, whether it's your spirituality, your physical fitness, or otherwise. When you invest into learning from people who are achieving success, no matter where you are with your success, inshallah, that's going to propel you to achieve more success and get even a greater return on the investment.
Yeah, this is great, mashallah. I remember all these conversations you're talking about, and it seems like so far away now. But
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to ask you is, like, there's a lot of different people out there that you could have gone to. Why did you decide to come to Muslim CEO? What was it about Amin or Faisal or the team, or what was it that made you think, what, like, I would prefer to be here than anywhere else?
Yeah. So number one, I'll be very honest. I remember that before we even joined your program, I think I had a question about something, and Amin, I think, recorded a video on Loom, and he had sent
Yeah.
it to me on Facebook. And I was like, wow, like he just took out 10 minutes of his time to record a video for me, and he didn't charge me anything for it. And it was great because it helped me solve the problem that I was facing at that moment. And it was a quick response. Like he almost was treating me like a client, even though I was not a client. And so when you see people such as yourselves giving and providing value and enabling the person to experience what it would be like to become a client, it's like if they're treating me like this when I'm not a client, imagine how they're going to provide a service when you are a client of theirs, So I think, yeah, just building of that trust. And not only that, but of course, just knowing you guys and the reputation that you guys have, mashallah, each of you three in your own areas, other people vouch for you. You have testimonials. You have, people just saying great things about you, and of course the results as well, right? So there's so many different aspects to it. I'm trying to break it down into different, like one by one, but I know I'm probably merging a few together. But the results, of course, like when we see that you guys have helped certain companies or organizations, or you've worked with certain companies, right? That track record is something that's so crucial. And I would say also authenticity. Authenticity is so crucial. When you're speaking to someone, when you're dealing with someone, I think that, mashallah, you guys come across as very authentic, not salesy or sleazy or just trying to make the sale, but you're actually genuinely wanting to help and serve others, with your expertise. And I'm sure there are many other things that led to
Yeah,
us.
it's so interesting you mentioned what about Amin's video, because we actually have a set of values that we kind of hold ourselves accountable to as a team. And the first value is think we over me and give value first, right? So
Mm,
that's our first thing, which is that
yeah,
think about the collective over your own self-interest and give value first. Like, be the first one to kind of give value. And so when something like that came in, it was exactly that type of thinking that, look, we have to do this because, this is a Muslim person that needs our help. It doesn't matter that they're not a client. They just want our help with something. We have the ability to have an impact on their life. Okay, we don't get anything out of it, but this is one of the other things I always say, is that we have to have that akhirah mindset. And I'm kind of trained salespeople. I'm telling them that as well, that if you get on a sales call, 70%, 60%, 50% of them will reject you. But that
mm,
doesn't mean that that call has to be a loss. You can actually, like, have your intentions right and go and give value for the sake of Allah and earn lots of ajr from each of
mm,
these things. And I think that's the kind of mentality that we've tried to help with different people, like even people that we don't know. Even to this day, I had this brother kind of contact me a couple of days ago, and he was like, he really wanted to speak to me, and I really didn't want to speak to him because I don't know him and nothing. I don't want to speak to him at all, right? Just because I've got my own stuff going on and everything. But at the heart of it, I was like, you know what? This is a Muslim brother. And you know what? This Muslim brother is saying, like, as a brother, I need to speak to you. Like, I don't know him. I don't know nothing about him. I don't know what he's going to talk about. But just that fact that he said to me, you know what? Like, you're my brother. I need you to speak to you. I was like, okay, fine. I'll speak to him. I'm not going to charge anything. I charge for coaching, all this stuff. I'm not charging nothing. I'll just speak to him type of thing, So I think, like, it's really, really important for us to have that mentality to be able to help people and benefit people, even when there's no money involved. So I think it's really, really great to hear about your journey. So what's been the result of it, Farzan? Because obviously you were in a certain place before you kind of started working with us. What's been like the beneficial overall results for you now, as you're going through? And obviously we're still kind of working together, right? So, but what's kind of the big benefits you've seen so far?
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, when we first started out, this was probably about a year and a half ago when Nabila, my business partner, and I, came together on Salam Media and really started. We were at a point where we were making like low four figures in sales. And alhamdulillah, you guys helped us get to five figures, in sales, So that's a huge difference, obviously. Multiple X'd our business, alhamdulillah, and changed. I would say even more important than only the numbers is really the mindset with regards to many different aspects of business and marketing. When it comes to, like I said, I gave the example of pricing and just changing our own mentality of when we went from like thinking that a 2,000 was too much to charge to now charging 5,000 or 6,000 or similar or putting together a package that is worth that much, just as one example. So yeah, I mean, changing our mindset, and also a huge part of this that I think sometimes goes unnoticed or unrealized is that a lot of business is about networking and connections, And alhamdulillah, we have kind of this partnership set up where, sometimes you guys may have a person who needs a done for you service, which is one of the things that we do. And you guys, happily refer that person to us. And there are many cases, alhamdulillah, where we have a person who's looking for the type of program that you're doing, and we direct them to you, And so it's a beautiful relationship. There's a back and forth, there's a give and take. And also, of course, like, just knowing you, because you guys are, mashallah, more experienced and you've been in this game longer than us, it enables us to not only learn from you, but now you have access to your own network or connections that we would not have had access to if we didn't know you, you know what I mean? Or just obviously even doing this interview. I don't think that we probably would have done this interview if we didn't have this kind of relationship over the last few months or, a year or so or whatever. So when you are willing to invest into these types of programs, then in fact it opens up doors that would not have been there if you had it in the first place.
Yeah, amazing. So one of the things I wanted to ask you in relation to this, for example, is that obviously, like when you go from like you said, 4 figures to 5 figures, what starts happening is your world expands, your team expands, the clients that you're dealing with expands. How have you been dealing with those kind of challenges of like personal growth and leadership and trying to, rather than just you being alone, with you being with your business partner and your organization? Like, talk to me a little bit about leadership, your views on all this kind of stuff, and how you've dealt with these growing kind of pains and challenges.
Yeah, so number one, when it comes to, again, I'm going to speak on this from my own experience. I mean, the guy to go to, the guru in this is you. So you should really be answering your own question. But in terms of like from our own experience, number one is, of course, creating systems and processes before we even get to the human resources aspect of it, because obviously you want to have certain duplicable processes and systems that you're implementing for your clients or for your students. And it took us time to get there, right? When we were first starting out, to be honest, we probably had no idea what we were doing. And when we look back a year and a half, it's like, what were we doing? Like we thought we were doing what we thought was the best, but it was like, it opens your horizons, I guess, in your mindset. So, so the system and the, streamlining and having SOPs and checklists and all this stuff, once that's in place, then it enables you to then expand or build a team, right? to then, like for us, we offer like a solution where it's like strategy plus funnel plus emails plus ads, and then there's like design, copy, and build as part of it. So what we have now is, alhamdulillah, we have someone who does the copy, then that's handed off to the person who does the design, and then that's handed off to a person that does the build, right, within the platform or whatever for the client. So we have a person for each one of those. Initially, we were doing all of that ourselves. And obviously, if we were trying to scale our business, and yet we're involved in the business and the nitty-gritty in every single aspect of it, it would be impossible to grow. And even to further that, I think it's not just about the system or the human resources, but a third element is really figuring out how to go from one-to-one, which is like a done-for-you one-to-one service, which is what we have been doing primarily. But now we're in the process of making a shift as well in offering a secondary service, which is a done-with-you service, which involves those three elements: content, coaching, and community that I mentioned before. But of course, unique to our solution. So the solution we offer is the same, which is we're going to help you create, launch, and scale your online course or digital product. But instead of us, the resources and all the templates that I mentioned in point number one, instead of us giving that to our team and implementing it for our client, we instead now give it to our student as part of that program. And then we help them through our coaching to implement all of those same things that we would have done for them, but instead we're doing it with them. So now that one-to-many approach enables us to scale, inshallah, even further and to benefit more people, because I can teach or coach 10 people at once, but in a one-to-one done-for-you service, I can only do that. I have to give full attention to every single done-for-you client separately. So
great. So basically, what you're saying is that if I'm someone who is looking to like create, launch, scale a course, all that stuff, you guys can actually help me do the whole thing, or you can actually do a lot of it for me as well in terms of the launch and the scale and all these kind of things, right? So with all this stuff, what I want you to do is just kind of ask you a little bit about like what are the kind of resources, what are the tools, what are the hacks, what are the books and all those kind of things that you really recommend a lot to people who want to kind of understand this whole marketing. Because obviously, if they're really serious about this stuff, they should get in touch with you, and we'll talk about how to do that as well. But like people who are just looking into this stuff, like what are books and resources and tools and tips and things that you kind of recommend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess I'll start with tools and softwares, because that's a very common question that comes up. So I guess what I'll do is I'll lay out kind of the typical software stack that people will generally utilize for their online courses, which is that, or I guess the journey even that a person follows. So number one, if you're like a course creator or educator that's first getting started, immediately the first thing that people think of is, oh, I need a website. And so for that, they're like, oh, I'm going to get WordPress, generally speaking, because it's free. It has a few themes that you can get for free or whatever. So you get WordPress. And then once you have WordPress, you're like, oh, I heard Mohammad, Arshad, or Farzan talking about a funnel. And so I need a funnel now. And you use ClickFunnels for your funnel. And then it's like, okay, well, what's the purpose of getting a funnel? Well, it's so that I can build my email list, attract leads, and then convert them into customers. Well, where do I store that? Oh, I need an email service provider, a contact database. So now you have MailChimp. And then in addition to MailChimp, now if you're providing a course, you want to host your course recording somewhere. So now you have to sign up for a platform like Teachable, to host. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, well, maybe all of these softwares don't integrate with each other inherently. So you need a software like Zapier to now help integrate. So now you've literally got 5-6 different softwares that you're trying to use and put all together. And it's a mess, to be honest. So what we recommend, and in fact the vast majority of our clients use, is a platform called Kajabi, which is in fact a replacement for all of these different softwares. You can build your website and blog on Kajabi. You can put all of your funnels together, funnel pages on Kajabi, all of your checkout pages and payment, accepting, your course hosting, your email marketing and hosting, having all of your contact database and everything in there. It literally gives you everything, and it's all under one roof. And so everything works together seamlessly instead of you trying to, fit different pieces together in different softwares. So definitely Kajabi would be the tool I would recommend to anyone looking to sell a course, create and market and sell a course online, a digital product, anything. Kajabi is the way to go. In addition to that, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I was. I think Kajabi is enough of
It does it
a
all.
suite that.
It's everything.
Yeah, literally, it
Yeah.
almost gives you because even I'm thinking of like books and all this stuff, but it's like it gives you. I guess in terms of books, what I would say from a marketing perspective, right? It's not necessarily specific to course creators, but one book is Russell Brunson's books, right, which have benefited me tremendously. Uh, he's got .com secrets and expert secrets and traffic secrets, right?
Mm.
And so there's also another one written by one of his like partners called Copywriting Secrets and whatnot. So anyway, so like he's got like a whole series. So I would definitely recommend those, especially for someone who doesn't necessarily know too much about marketing yet.
Yeah.
You can learn quite a bit from those books. In terms of operations and stuff, I think I have it here behind me, the book Traction, which was recommended by yourself to us, which has helped quite a bit. So yeah, for someone who's just starting out and stuff, I think that would be a good few books to start out with, in addition to the software, which is Kajabi that I mentioned.
Wonderful. Okay, so for example, we're kind of coming to the end, right? I want you to understand, like, if people are listening to this and they're thinking, yeah, you know what, I've got some experience, I've got some expertise, sounds like really great stuff. How do they get in touch with you? How do they get connected to you?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways. Number one is that, alhamdulillah, we've put together a free training, the link to which I can send you, and perhaps it can be shared along with
Sure,
this
yeah.
interview. Alhamdulillah. So that training, it's titled The Pandemic Proof Way to Create, Market, and Sell Your Courses Online so that you can serve more and earn more. And I basically, in that training, I'm covering the three most important, perhaps, points or secrets that we've discovered doing this for several years with various organizations within the Muslim market. And so it's about an hour-long training. That would be the first way they can, inshallah, get better acquainted with us and, learn more about who we serve, who we are, what we do. So that's number one. Number two is if they're already familiar with us, then they can, of course, book a call with us and book a strategy session with us. And like you said, Brother Muhammad, that, obviously the person probably knows that, look, we have a service or program that, we want them to be a part of if they're a good fit. But that doesn't mean that, if that doesn't happen, then the strategy session is a waste. I mean, the point is that if we can, even give you one tip or something beneficial in that strategy session, and even if you still don't decide to become a client or student, inshallah, it's worth it. And if you take that and you benefit other people, inshallah, we get a share in that reward. And that's honestly one of the aspects of our mission is that, we just want, one of the reasons we love to serve people and impact Muslims through those clients and students that we have is, inshallah, if you're giving some benefit and if we can play a part in helping you give that benefit and serving others and reaching, better serving Muslims and people in general, then inshallah, of course, the concept of sadaqah jariyah and of, continuous deeds and that sort of chain of good deeds, then inshallah get a share in that reward. If you adalu ala al-khayri kafa'ilihi, the person who directs someone towards good, it's as though they did it themselves, right? All of these beautiful principles within our deen is what really motivates us. So, and then of course, if someone just wants to see what we do on a general basis, of course they can go to our website as well. We also have a Facebook group for those who want to join and be a part of that community. So these are the different ways that inshallah they can get in touch with us.
Sure. It's very interesting what you said, because I was telling you earlier that I was training salespeople and I was going through this mentality. I was saying to them, people will come on and they will get real value from the strategy session, even if they don't go forward with your services, right? Mm-hmm. And I said this and they were kind of questioning me on it. And now when they've been taking real calls, they came back to me all surprised and they're like, I had this strategy session and the person was like, I got so much value from this, thank you so much. And they were so happy from it. And so I think that, one thing you'll learn is that if you have that beginner's mindset, I think it's very useful to speak to people like yourself. And this is the reason why I actually wanted you to come on, because I know the experience that you've got. And I think that just having a chat with people like yourself and your team and all these kind of things, it can open up things in your own mind that you can't see, right? And this is one that, like, when I used to do counseling, for the youth, like, there was people who would call up and literally they would talk for like 30 minutes. I would say very little. And at the end of it, they'll be like, thank you so much, like you helped me so much, right? Because they
Yeah.
just kind of got their thinking straight and just expressed themselves and stuff. So I think it's a really, really great idea to check out the training, and I'll put a link in it and to kind of look through it as well, inshallah.
Inshallah, Jazakallah khairan, much appreciated.
Fantastic. Farzan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here, bro. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for your time and for not holding back at all, and giving us all the kind of guidance and giving us the lowdown on exactly how to do it when it comes to courses and content and all this stuff. Jazakallah khair. It's been great.
Jazakallah khairan for the opportunity. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts from you and from us all, and that inshallah whoever is watching is able to get some benefit and move on to, especially if they haven't started out, to hopefully create, market and sell a course online or provide some sort of a program or service based on their knowledge, experience, or expertise. It's truly humbling as well to just be on the same platform as you, because mashallah, you're like, mashallah, very sort of up there relative to ourselves. So it's very humbling to be able to be on your platform and give whatever advice and knowledge that we have to give. Alhamdulillah.
Fantastic. Great. I know everyone watching will love it, inshallah. I think you shared some really, really amazing things, and so Jazakallah khair. Brothers and sisters, this is the Muslim CEO Show. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I actually felt like I learned a lot from it as well, especially with that kind of course mindset. So if you haven't already done so, make sure that you guys check out the podcast, or if you're listening to us, then check out the video on YouTube. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Check out the free training that we do at Muslim CEO as well. And Jazakallah khair for watching. Inshallah, I will see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.